Alright, we've got a very interesting setup on this chart right now because we've broken that 2022 high now 3 times. I think the other time was right here, which is absolutely fantastic. And what that implies now is actually something quite similar to what we saw in 2022, because 2021. Because if you take a look at what we did the first time we ever hit these price levels, it was the exact same story, and it seems like we're doing the same thing again right now, right? Just slightly overshooting that high. Now, what's really important though is when you come back up to these levels after a long time, right? And we looked at this on the Bitcoin inverse chart. Those of you that are subscribed are going to be very well informed on that. You're actually going to know that if you've been, if it's been a long time since you've kind of come up to these levels, right? You've had this beautiful, nice big cup. Maybe you have the handle too. We can get to that in a second. Smash up the likes if you're excited for it. That's going to be a really clear sign that we're now coming at this level again with renewed strength. And one of the key things we see, and this is something that I've discussed with you guys for a long time on this channel, all the way back to 2020, is that when you get up to these levels, like back in 2020 it was $20,000, and you kind of keep smashing that ceiling, you keep picking at it like with a pickaxe, eventually it's going to crack, and eventually there's not going to be any more resistance. And what that means in real life is there's going to be a set number of bitcoins that want to be sold, rightfully so, because this was the all-time high for like 2.5 years. And those people who are a little bit more conservative, who just like to take profits, honestly, it's really not a bad thing at all, are going to be, looking to sell their bitcoins a little bit. But as soon as those bitcoins get supplied, as soon as that Bitcoin supply gets eaten out and there's nothing left, that's when you get the really big explosions. And I think that we could be looking at a very interesting setup for this, because if we zoom in and take a look at this on, for example, the 4-hour time frame, we've got some really nice support, kind of starting to approach at these price levels now, and it is still about 5 days away, so it's not super close, but it's definitely not far away. Bitcoin only has to hold it down for a couple of days really until it's going to be able to enjoy those areas of support, and that's actually going to be opening up some potentially very interesting trading opportunities, which I want to talk to you all about in this YouTube video as well. There have been some really interesting developments in this market. I mean, altcoins have been absolutely flying. We're going to be taking a look at them in this live stream as well. I do want to highlight to those of you that are interested that we have got phenomenal offers available with the links in the description down below. You've got to keep in mind that these are only available to you if your country actually allows them, so please follow your local regulations. But Bybit is offering a phenomenal bonus of up to $30,000 when you start trading using my link down below, along with a free $500 position, which you'll get just by starting to trade, which is absolutely cool. Very interesting offers, brilliant alternatives as well available with the links in the description below, so check them all out, because this will supercharge your trading and just give you more free money, which is obviously what you want, right? Like, ultimately you need more money to make more money, and that's what we kind of shortcut with these phenomenal bonuses. A lot of people always ask me, Sammy, what would you do if you were starting fresh again? I literally would milk the fuck out of these bonuses, because there's so much free money up for grabs, and it doesn't really matter what you do with it. Here's a beautiful look at the 4-hour EMA ribbon right here. Absolutely beautiful support right now, stretching all the way down to $64,000. And if we actually zoom in, that's important, I think, because Bitcoin is in a bit of a kind of rising wedge type pattern right now. Take a look at this, and you can draw it a couple different ways. I'm not really concerned about how you draw it, but ultimately this is a bit of price action which looks a little bit stretched out, which looks like it might have to tumble down, and if it does end up tumbling down, we've got a very nice area of support ready to get Bitcoin at about 65.8, okay? And that is an area where we previously found a local top. We found some support, some more support. Absolutely beautiful stuff there, ladies and gents, strongly implying that if the price does end up falling back down here, we might be able to grab that as support. And what that's going to lead into is your beautiful kind of higher lows type pattern, where eventually you kind of punch in lows like this, and then you get your breakout, and that's your blue sky, right? That's going to be the brand new all-time high. So that would be very cool. Definitely something that we would love to see on this chart in terms of setting new highs, and there are some very strong notes I'm going to balance this analysis out with in just a second, because I'm obviously not as bullish as everybody else. Despite me being in a way better long position than basically everybody else, I am able to retain perspective, keep my head on my fucking shoulders instead of up in space, you know, so that I can actually think clearly instead of get you know, kind of swept away with all of the fear and the excitement and stuff like that, the euphoria. And actually, speaking of that, let's go ahead and switch over to the fear and greed index and say what that's see what that's saying here, because we got 84 today, it was 81 yesterday, 80 last week. This is going to update in 5 hours. We hit 90 the other day, and that was obviously one of the tops that Bitcoin experienced. I mean, you know, this is an overstretched market right now by many measures, and like I said, I'm going to get to that in just a sec, but it's almost hard to not continue the analysis without showing you how overstretched it is. But let's stick on this just for one more minute, because on the hourly we do have phenomenal EMA support as well. It's definitely still pushing up, right? I mean, you know, these short-term indicators, short-term signs are still strongly pointing upwards, and that's where it gets really fun and challenging as a trader, because, you know, you're going to have the short-term trend, which is useful, but then the mid-term trend takes precedent, and then the long-term trend takes precedent, and it's about kind of identifying when that's going to happen. And one of the easiest places to say that's going to happen is, of course, at an all-time high. That doesn't mean it's actually going to happen at an all-time high, right? There's still every chance that we can break up, and the chart is really pointing toward that, but I'm getting ahead of myself again, because this kind of leads into the more bearish stuff I want to talk to you about. We'll save that all just for a second here. If we take a look at some of our other indicators, again, phenomenal confluence building up in this price range as well. So, you know, it'd be really nice to see some kind of pullbacks now. There's a lot of space for Bitcoin to get pullbacks, you know, down to 65.8, down to 64, 63, down to the lows here in the low $60,000 area. You know, and that's just this local price area, right? This is all just one price area. This is the retest we had when we broke that all-time high for the first time in 2.5 years. Shout out to those of you that have been sticking around all this time. Let me know in the comments if you were here in the bear market, and if you're here now, I want you to write a comment saying I survived, because that is fucking cool to be able to say. Bitcoin bear markets are not easy. I think they're much worse than other bear markets, you know, in other markets, and that's because you get fucked so hard, so relentlessly. You know, it is absolute torture. You've literally got to enjoy the pain to be able to put up with this, or your soul will be breaking throughout every moment. And most of us probably fit into the second category, which means that, yeah, we deserve right and I survived in that comment section down below. Now, let's take a look at the larger time frames, and this is where the picture sours. This is where the picture really soured, ladies and gents, and the reason I'm saying that is because if we do just zoom out and look at this chart, this is a very obvious chart where if you asked me, Sammy, do you think we're going to get prices lower than this again? The answer would have to be yes. I mean, you know, very clearly. And, you know, it's the same question as if we asked it back when we got this breakout right here. Do you think the price is going to come back below this point again? Or if you even asked it here, would it come back below? I mean, and we're at very similar price levels too. I think it's very obvious. And of course, on this occasion, it took a very long time, but we did end up coming back down. And in fact, we even swept the previous all-time high at $20,000. So I think that's actually really important to keep in mind at this stage in the market, ladies and gents, because what that's showing us is that we can drop down massively, and that doesn't mean you can't make money while the sun is shining as well. So we want to keep that in mind. But one of the things that's starting to happen now, I'm going to show this to you on Phantom, which is you're really going to get it when I show you this. You know, is if we take a look at this on the hourly, this is a beautiful chart pattern, ladies and gents. I mean, you know, this is what you want to see if you're looking for long setups, and there's already a good few coins that are kind of forming similar patterns to this, which I'm going to talk to you about later on in this video. A lot of them we've been covering. Solana, we were offering a massive $500 free position with Bybit. That obviously expired. All of you guys took it, so shout out to those of you that took advantage of it. We're now offering the same thing. Well, not we, Bybit is now offering $500 on Bitcoin as well, so definitely check that out if you like the idea of free money. But you know, because that's obviously going to run out. But what we're seeing with these coins right now is really nice setups. Phantom's one of them, but many of the altcoins look similar. You know, and there's good support that's caught up too, right? If we look at this on the hourly, you know, we've got a little bit of EMA support right here. If we zoom out onto the 4 hour, it's basically right here, and it looks super strong. It's absolutely great, ladies and gents. It's really good. The problem is if we zoom out a little bit further, this is a parabola, right? And I mean, just to put it in perspective, and I'm going to do this with Bitcoin as well, but for Phantom's at 80 cents right now, it was trading at less than half of this price literally 2 weeks ago, like literally 15 days ago. It was trading at less than half its current price. Bitcoin, similar case, right? From where it is right now, just down to that 52k range, that was literally 13 days ago, ladies and gents. That was very recent. 13 days is a super short amount of time, and we managed to get basically $20,000 above that. So, we really need to ground ourselves and understand exactly what we're dealing with right here. We're not looking at a ladder that just climbs up and up and up and up and up forever. And if we are, you're going to get really devastating crashes. So, kind of short term, I mean, the only analysis I can give you is that this looks bullish. And anything different to that would literally be incorrect, because analysis has to be objective, especially at the beginning. It's going to be 100% subjective when you get into a trade. But at the very beginning, when you're just kind of considering things and doing what we're doing right now, it's going to have to be objective. And I don't see how you can objectively get a bearish hypothesis out of this chart unless you really zoom out. But on the short-term time frame, it's very clear. And that's because, again, all of these indicators are lagging indicators. They're only taking into account the data that came before. And if all of the data that came before on a short-term basis is incredibly bullish, then what do you think is going to happen with the analysis, right? With the forecasting. So I think that's really important to be keeping in mind. Everybody is going to be seeing the same green charts here, but as soon as you start kind of zooming out, they're very overstretched, and that still remains the same case. It's like I said, I'm definitely very bullish on this chart overall because I'm mega long and I'm super spot, into Bitcoin as well, right? So I've definitely got my money, pointing in the direction of up, and at the same time, I'm still not convinced that this is just going to be the straight rocket ship that everybody is expecting, and it's because, these kind of longer term things I'm showing you, like with Phantom as a phenomenal example, these are clear signs that better prices are probably going to be coming. I've been trading these markets for 7 years now, and that's a very, very long time for me to know better than to expect that things like this just keep going up in a straight line without getting corrections. The corrections might be quick, they might even be shallow, but we will get corrections, and I think that's really useful to know. Now let's bring it over to traditional finance for a second. We did just end the trading week here. It's a Saturday today, obviously, depending on your time zone, wherever you are in the world. And, we've seen the S&P 500 generally for this week continue to move up. If we zoom out onto the 1 week time frame, for example, this week actually was a bit of a doji, but we did start to get above to that 5200 area, now pulling back into the low 5100s. And this is all happening with the backdrop of the dollar finding critical resistance at the 104, 105 level, and now dropping down quite aggressively. So this is a very bullish thing for the market, I think, because the next area of support I see is naturally going to be the bottom of this green box at about 101, and the dollar's not there yet. So that additional basically 1% move could be what pushes the dollar, well, that would be what pushes the dollar 1% lower, but it could be what pushes traditional finance much higher, right? S&P 500 and so on, and maybe that's when we start to see the reversal. And that would make a lot of sense, because by that point, if things continue to go up for the next little bit, because the dollar is trending down, because that generally is the inverse correlation, that would allow these markets to get really crazy. That's probably like an $80,000, $85,000 Bitcoin, and then we see a really nice big correction if the dollar starts really moving up. So I don't really know how that's going to happen politically. Obviously, the dollar's pretty fucked, but we're not really going to get into that. The charts speak for themselves, and the charts have been incredibly reliable. And the reason this is important, right, is because the S&P 500 has been seeing such a phenomenal rally over these last weeks and months. I mean, just absolutely insane. And I think that's the largest part of why Bitcoin is doing well. I mean, everybody's screaming ETF from the rooftops like a bunch of fucking idiots, but understandably, and this is highly understandable when you just sit there and think about it in silence for a couple of minutes, if absolutely everybody is ringing the ETF the bell, then naturally, can you really expect that that's going to be, the driving factor of the market, right? I mean, both statements can't be true. You can't have both statements true. Number one, the ETF is the fucking phoenix rising from the ashes that's going to save crypto and just take us to heaven. And number two, 90% of people are always losing their money, or more. Like 99% of traders are always losing their money. Like, if everybody's saying it but everybody's wrong, then both statements can't be true. And you tell me which one is more likely to be true. The one which is heavily manipulated by the media, the fucking narrative you were spoon-fed, or is it simply that most people get things wrong, they time things wrong, they get sentiment wrong, they get their analysis wrong, and you know what, that's okay. That's how we make money, ladies and gents. So it's like I said, it's, you know, it is still for me long until proven otherwise. You know, I wouldn't be able to get out of these positions because I just stopped making money, right? So I don't think that we're in a good place in terms of the health of the market. But I'm not going to get out of my positions prematurely just because of that. I'm going to wait for an invalidation, because the number one thing that's important as a trader is getting paid, okay? And if you want to get paid, you need to be in your positions, you know, that are making you money, and you need to get out of the positions that are losing you money. I know it sounds really simple, but most people just don't follow that, and if they did, they would make significantly more money than they do right now. Alright, ladies and gents, I hope you have enjoyed this one. You know what to do. If you have, hit up that like, subscribe button, do all that beautiful stuff. Get that bell icon checked as well so that you don't miss out on all of this very time-sensitive content. Check out the phenomenal offers available to you all with the links in the description below, including also my free Telegram channel where I'm giving you more analysis from myself and my team around the clock for free. And of course, please bear in mind your local regulations. Some countries do not allow access to these exchanges, and you won't be able to anyway because they've got all their safeguards. So don't waste your time. All right, ladies and gents, thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.